Hey guys, this is Lee Clements. I'm here with MediaUnlocked.net. We are starting to dig into the Canon 5D Mark IV. Got this here from our friends at B&H, and we are going to start going through the menus, specifically on the still settings on this particular video. We're going to have a couple videos later that are specifically going to address the video settings. Those links are here if you need them. All right, so our camera is on. And we press our menu button. So, starting at the top, image quality. Tighten up a little bit here. To get around the menu, generally you've got 3 options here. Well, 4 on the Mark IV actually. You can see across the top we've got the camera, autofocus, playback, the wrench is your settings, custom functions, and the star is for my menu. That's a custom menu that you can build with anything in any of these other menus. You can navigate through this through the top bar with your finger wheel here, and then up and down with the thumb wheel. You can also use the same functionality in this little quick control, up and down, and across moves there. And then, because we're on the 5D Mark IV now, we've added touchscreen functionality that you can go through, and with a very, very simple, just brief touch of the thumb, or whichever finger you're using, you can change the menus. So starting at the top here, we're in camera settings. Specifically, this is called Shoot 1. Image quality. You've got 2 lines here, 3 different styles of raw footage, or not footage, but raw pictures, different sizes. In this line here, you can see the specific size of those particular images. This is full raw. It's the full 30 megapixel image, and 6,720 by 4,480 pixels. Medium raw. Well, first, you notice here these little symbols. If you ever see this, that is telling you that you can adjust that setting with your finger wheel. And if you see this, that's telling you you can adjust your setting with your thumb wheel. So, full raw, 30 megapixels. Medium raw is 17 megapixels. Small raw is 7.5 megapixels. You can use that functionality to get more space out of a card. I personally, I only ever shoot full raw. I have only ever had a medium raw or small raw shot because somebody dug in my menus and didn't tell me. If you click over to the dash, then you notice that the raw option goes away. With any of these options that you change, obviously if you see it says set OK, then you either have to press set to make it OK, or on the touch screen you can just press that area here. So those are our raw options. And then you've got your JPEG options. You've got large, fine, and large, rough, if you will. So you have, you notice there's 2 different little shapes here. There's a smooth arc, and there's kind of a blocky arc. The difference between that, the smooth is what they call fine quality, and the blockiness is normal quality. Those are different compression settings that Canon sets at the factory. And you've got large fine, large normal, medium fine, medium normal, small 1 fine, small 2, or small 1 normal. And then on this particular camera, it looks like you have a small 2 and a small 3. Small 2 is an option on this camera that has, you notice, a 1920 by 1280. That's a full HD frame. That would be helpful if you were using this camera to do a location scout, or something where you wanted a specific aspect ratio on a specific lens. Small 3 is even smaller. It's 720 by 480, so that's a standard definition size video frame. You notice that's 0.3 megapixels. Our frame count here is over 10,000, so you can fit a good deal of these of small 3 or small 2 images onto this 32 gig compact flash card we have in here. If you want to set more than one, you can dual shoot, so you can shoot in a RAW and in a JPEG. That is helpful if you want to have if you have a quick turnaround where you need to hand off the JPEGs quickly to a client, but you also want to have the RAW images that you can mess around with yourself later, or just for purely backup reasons. So once you have picked what you're going to be shooting in, let's say we'll shoot in full RAW and we won't have a JPEG, you either hit set or touch the OK button, and you should see your new value appear here. Dual Pixel RAW is a new piece of functionality that has been added to the Canon 5D Mark IV. When it is enabled, it's a special shooting mode where it obviously records dual pixels. You notice that the number of images we have now has dropped. Before, it was at 477, and when you enable it, enabled when image quality is set to RAW. So if you have this set to enable, then if you move away from full RAW, then you'll lose that function. That functionality will be turned off. But you notice that our images now are 251 down from 477, so we've literally cut our space in half. These raw images will be larger. Dual pixel RAW allows for micro adjustments in focus, and also for adjusting your bokeh just slightly. It's really noticeable if you're doing macro photography, or in particular if you have, you know, a situation where your focus was off by just a micron or so. Having the dual pixel RAW functionality enabled allows you to get back just a little bit of what you have, or at least let you change the image in the way that you want. Image review. What this is when you're in still mode, you press your shutter, you take the image will actually show up on this screen for a certain amount of time, 2 seconds, 4 seconds, or 8 seconds, or it will just hold indefinitely, and you can either, you know, choose to delete it while it's up, or you can press any button and that'll take it off the screen. If you're shooting time-lapse, or if you're in a situation where you need to save battery life, I've often found it helpful to just turn image review off. 2 seconds is usually enough time to kind of glance and make sure that you're not too dark or too light. You might need a little more time if you want to see if you're out of focus. The beep functionality is the beep that comes with your autofocus lock, your auto exposure lock. If you're in a situation where you don't want that sound to be happening, if you're in a very quiet church sermon or something, or in particular you just want to not have it on, you can disable it, or you can set it touch to disable. Release shutter without card. This simply tells the camera that if you don't have a card inserted, you either do want it to be able to take pictures or you don't. If you have a history of not putting your card back in your camera, then you can disable this and the camera will not shoot if it doesn't have a card in it. I usually leave this on. If there's not a camera in the card, the camera will tell you when you get ready to go that there is no card in camera if you actually take a picture. Lens aberration correction is something that's been expanded on the 5D Mark IV. It comes automatically with any Canon EF lens. They have an enormous backlog of correction information for specific lenses. So you see here a lot of different options that you can turn on or turn off. I'm going to put a lens on this camera. I added the my EF 85mm f1.8 to the camera. You can see that it actually can detect what lens it is, and if it has the data for it, you can turn on Peripheral Illumination Correction. This accounts for any kind of vignetting that would happen on certain lenses. Distortion Correction is barrel distortion, especially on wide-angle lenses like the 24mm or the 14mm. That will account for some of the flaws that are inherent just in the glass. Digital Lens Optimizer is available only on newer lenses. It's not available on my older EF85. Chromatic Aberration Correction, Diffraction Correction, these are both things that older glass especially is probably going to need just a little bit of help, and the Canon already knows what it needs for certain lenses, so it's really helpful to have that on. External speed light control, flash firing enable, that turns off and on both the hot shoe and this flash sync port over there. ETTL2 metering, evaluative dash through the lens metering, tells you it either wants, that's related to your metering. I said metering 4 times. That's either evaluative or it's a center weighted average. And flash sync speed in aperture priority mode. You've got auto. You can set it between. You can set it to do auto between 1/200th and 1/60th of a second, or you can just tell it that it needs to be set at 1/200th of a second. Flash function settings. If you had a speed light that could be controlled through this camera, you would be able to customize it in this menu. Obviously, I don't have one connected, so I can't access that. And same with the custom function settings. Really nice thing that's available if you don't know exactly, if somebody's changed something with your camera, you can clear your settings, either the flash settings in the camera or the speed light custom functions for the flash that you're using. Moving on to Shoot 2. Top menu item here, exposure compensation and auto exposure bracketing. Auto exposure bracketing is for HDR photography or even just for general photography. What you're telling the camera is you set your point here to tell it where you want your exposure to be. You can choose up to 5 stops over or under. Then by using your finger wheel, you can set brackets in as many as 3 stops on either side of that image. In a different mode, in aperture priority and time priority mode, you can actually change from this menu where you want this bracket to be. This is also easily accessible from while you're shooting by pressing this button, and you can get into this menu really quickly and easily. One thing to note, if you change this setting and you tell it to bracket, the next set of photos that you take will be bracketed according to what you want. Once you've taken the number of photos that you set in a different menu, this will reset to default. ISO speed settings. The Canon 5D Mark IV has changed things a little bit. Instead of turning on your extended range, you can set you have to set the range from the menu. So the top menu item here, ISO speed, that's the current ISO speed on the camera right now, which you can change outside of the menu with your ISO button on the top of the camera. You can also change it from the quick control screen. The range for your stills. This is where you will set what range the camera can access. That's important if you're shooting both in auto and in manual, because if you want the advertised expanded ISO, then you have to come into this menu and turn them on. When it comes out of the box, the maximum and the minimum are going to be set to 132,000. you have to come in and turn on the high and low functionality. You can also, if you're shooting in auto, you can set a specific range just for auto. If you're shooting in auto for whatever reason, or you're setting your ISO to auto, and say you don't want to shoot over 6400 ISO, then you can tell it that that's the maximum amount that you want. Minimum shutter speed, if you're in auto, which is just standard shooting, you can actually tell it that you want your minimum shutter speed to be, say, 3 stops under 0 or 3 stops over. You can also set manual if you want, say, your slowest shutter speed to only be 1 second. As of right now, in auto, my lowest shutter speed is 30 seconds with intervals up to 1 second. If for whatever reason you don't want that to be, you only ever want to go, you don't want to go below 1 second, then you can set in the menu what your lowest shutter speed is going to be, your minimum shutter speed is going to be. Auto lighting optimizer, you'll notice it's disabled. It's supposed to be disabled in manual or bulb modes, but you can press the info button and turn that on. You can change it, therefore, if you're going to move to aperture priority or any of the other modes. When you're in manual or bulb mode, it will not work, even though you can set it. Auto lighting optimizer is just Canon looking at your image and deciding whether it's over or underexposed and adjusting it for you. If you want to have control over that, I recommend leaving it off. White balance setting is also accessible from this button, the top left, and from your quick control screen. But here in the menu, you can see more specifically what is available. Auto is set to ambience priority. Daylight is approximately 5200 Kelvin. Shade 7000 Kelvin. Cloudy is 6000 Kelvin. Tungsten light is approximately 3200 Kelvin. White fluorescent light is 4000 Kelvin, but it also adds, or rather takes away, on the green spectrum, which you can't see from the white balance. So white fluorescence is handy to have if you're shooting in an industrial environment. Flash setting is doesn't have a Kelvin listed, but it's generally about 6500. Custom white balance, that is, if you press this, you can actually go and set, and it's in a different menu item, you can set a custom white balance based on a white balance picture that you might have taken. Kelvin, if you select Kelvin, then you can actually change with your thumb wheel here. You can also access it from the control screen if you want to set a specific white balance based on, say, any combination of gels you have. If you know exactly what your LEDs are set for, if you have LEDs that are bicolor, but you want the full output, so you have both the tungsten and daylight LEDs on full, usually your Kelvin setting is going to be about 4500. Custom white balance. If you have your white balance set in here to custom, then this is where you'll actually pick. So you press custom white balance, and you would pick an image from the card, and you would this is the white balance that you want. So if you're in an environment where you don't know what the white balance is, say you've got old fluorescents, or you've got old HMIs or unknown off-brand LEDs, you can simply take a picture of either a white sheet or just a white balance card, and then use your custom white balance setting in here. So I tell it to set, use white balance data from this image for custom white balance. Okay. So it goes through and it picks a specific white balance based on that image. If your lighting changes for whatever reason, then you would need to go and take a new image and reset the custom white balance. White balance shift bracket. You see this color graph here. you've got your blue, blue, green, red, and magenta. Blue and green obviously on your x-axis, green and magenta on your y. You adjust this with your thumb. This is similar to the exposure bracketing. This is white balance bracketing. So if you're in a situation, again, where you're not sure what the white balance is, you can set to bracket white balance just like you would exposure. If you want to change on the green axis, or rather on the blue-red axis, then you have to use the touchscreen functionality here, or your quick control. This is very dangerous if you don't know what you're doing, so this is probably not a menu that you'll spend a lot of time in. The nice thing is you've got a clear all function here. Clear all, white balance, shift, and bracketing settings. Color space. I could probably spend a whole video just on this. A real simple answer is to just pick one and work with it. sRGB has been around for a long time. Adobe RGB obviously has been around since Adobe. They each have positives and negatives, and now is not the time or place to get into that. So if you want to, head over to facebook.com/mediaunlocked. Give us a like over there. We'll keep you posted about this camera and others as we get them. Stay tuned for our next video where we continue talking about the menu of the still settings of the Canon 5D Mark IV. And stay tuned.
Hey guys, if you'd like to check out our website where we have all kinds of fun and exciting blogs, videos, and extra information that isn't on our YouTube page, click right here. If you'd like to talk to us or contact us and kind of take a look at all the different stuff that we have going on, we've kind of funneled it all through our Facebook. You can hit our Facebook page right here and follow us or like us. Now, if you like to look at cool pictures and behind the scenes stuff, we do that on Instagram right here. So go on and follow us on Instagram. And of course, we got our cute little bird right here, Mr. Twitter, and you can follow us as we do our short tweets.